Marjorie owns a farm. There are 6 apple trees and 7 lemon trees on her land. Each apple tree has 12 fruits, and each lemon tree has 10 fruits. How many oranges are there in total? Zero. We didn't say that Marjorie has any orange trees. Marjorie inserts her diamond ring in a glass bottle and closes it with the help of a cork. Then she takes the ring out of the bottle without taking out the cork or breaking the bottle. Can you guess how she did it? Easy. She pushed the cork inside the bottle and then took out the ring. Marjorie lost her smartwatch somewhere in the fields. She uses her phone to detect the current location of her gadget. The phone draws 3 possible routes, but only one of them will actually take her to the smartwatch. Can you help Marjorie choose the right way? Route A is correct. Early in the morning, Marjorie enters one of the farm's barns. Oh no! Someone broke all the bottles with cherry juice. She asks her 3 workers to clean up the mess. Meanwhile, she interrogates them. "Who did it?" Marjorie asks. Frank replies, "Yesterday in the afternoon, I put all the cherry juice bottles on the shelves and left home. I don't know what happened." Phil says, "I didn't feel well last night, so I didn't touch the juice, and I went to bed early." And Anna says, "Yesterday I painted the fence all day. I didn't even enter the barn." Who's lying? Anna. She said she painted the fence, but it doesn't look freshly painted at all. After a long working day, Marjorie wants to relax and goes to the public swimming pool. She spots something really weird in the shower. One of these ladies is not from this planet. Can you guess who? The third lady. She's using ketchup to wash her hair instead of shampoo. Marjorie meets her 3 best friends by the pool, Megan, Sarah, and Raven. One of them gave birth to triplets 4 years ago. Can you guess who exactly? Raven. Take a look at her hands. She's wearing 3 DIY bracelets with the word Mom. The triplets are now 4 years old, and her jewelry looks like something that they could have crafted. Marjorie and her besties go to a concert, but only one of these people is a real musician. Can you guess who? It's the second guy. The first lady put her sheet music upside down. After the concert, Marjorie takes a walk down the local street. There are 100 houses numbered from 1 to 100 on the street. Can you count how many times they use the digit 9 to number all the houses? The correct answer is 19. The mystery can be solved using simple math. The digit 9 should occur in the following numbers. All we need to do is to count the number of 9s in this sequence. Marjorie comes home late at night and sees something creepy in her living room. Can you see it too? There are 3 ghosts in this room. What about the warehouse? Can you spot any ghosts here? Hello? Let's take a look at the bedroom. Ooh, there are 5 ghosts. Can someone call Ghostbusters? The next morning, Marjorie goes picking apples on her farm. Suddenly, someone spills cherry juice on her head. She noticed that someone climbed on a tree to pull that prank, but she didn't see this person's face. So Marjorie interrogates 3 people working on the farm that day. Frank says, "I was watering vegetables far away from the apple trees." Phil says, "I was in the kitchen preparing ingredients for the lemon jam production, just like you asked me." And Nina says, "I was in the garden picking lemons for the jam." Marjorie figures out who did it right away. What about you? It was Phil. He tore his shirt and a piece of fabric got stuck on the branch of an apple tree. A group of tourists arrives at the farm and Marjorie gives them a fun tour. Unfortunately, one of these guests is a thief. Can you guess who? This lady. She's sneaking cash from another person's purse. It's raining heavily all day, so Marjorie stays home alone and fries pancakes in the kitchen. Suddenly, she realizes that she had forgotten to switch off the TV in the living room and goes there. In a minute, Marjorie returns to the kitchen and gets speechless. Why? Can you guess? When Marjorie left the kitchen, one prepared pancake was on the dish. But now it's gone. All the windows are locked. So, who did it? Suddenly, Marjorie hears weird sounds from the basement. She goes there and finds the thieves. A family of raccoons broke into her house and sneaked the pancake. Can you count the exact number of animals in the basement? The task was to count the number of all animals, so the correct answer is 7. There are 4 raccoons, 1 cat, and 2 rats. The next day, Marjorie goes into her sunflower field to check how the flowers are doing. Can you spot what's odd here? There's a socket built into the ground. Marjorie goes to Megan's birthday party. One of the guests has the number 2 written on his forehead, and the other has 3. Megan offers everyone a game. All 3 of you have a number on your forehead. The number on one of your foreheads is the sum of the other numbers. All the numbers are unique. Now, you can't talk to each other. If you guess your number correctly, you won't have to wash dishes. So, can you guess Marjorie's number? It could either be 1 or 5, but if her number was 1, the guy with 3 would see that and guess his own number. Therefore, Marjorie has the number 5 on her forehead. The next day, Marjorie enters the farm's main barn. It's time to plant flowers in larger pots. She takes off her diamond ring to protect it from dirt. Marjorie puts it on the table. The process is almost finished, but suddenly Marjorie's phone rings and she leaves the barn to answer the call. After a while, she comes back and sees that the ring is missing. There are only 3 people on the farm today: Frank, Nina, and Megan. So Marjorie says, "One of you has taken my ring. What were you doing when I left the barn?" Frank replies, "I was in the bathroom washing pumpkins with Nina." Nina replies, "Yes, we were washing the vegetables." And Megan says, "I was just taking selfies with pumpkins. Who took the ring?" Look at this bird cage. It was opened. The canary bird flew out and took the ring. There are 3 sets of lab equipment on Marjorie's table. Can you sort the odd one out? This one doesn't have a flame. Marjorie throws a harvest festival at her farm. Her friends and coworkers chill all together. Can you spot any zombies among them? This dancer in the bushes doesn't look alive. As evening came, bright stars and a new moon showed up in the sky. Now Marjorie has to choose one of these 3 tunnels to escape. There's a family of creepy werewolves hanging out inside the first tunnel. The second tunnel is a home for mutant bats. They feed on humans and stay awake 24/7. And there is an unknown monster hiding in the third tunnel. Unknown because no one had ever returned from there alive to tell. Which tunnel is more or less safe to enter? Marjorie should choose the first tunnel. It's a new moon, so the werewolves are not dangerous yet.
Daniel and Cherry have been talking on the phone for a while. Today, they decided to go for a coffee. This is the first time they're going to meet in person. And they haven't seen any pictures of each other. Cherry texts Daniel, "I will wear a pair of pink hair clips." When Daniel arrives at the coffee shop, he sees 3 ladies, and surprisingly, all of them are wearing pink hair clips. Can you help Daniel find his date? Take a look at the first table carefully. There are 2 coffee mugs. This means that this lady is already with someone. The lady sitting at the second table is already enjoying her coffee and a book. Clearly, she's not here for a date. And the third lady is wearing a beautiful dress and her table is empty. Therefore, she's Cherry. Cherry's ex-boyfriend, Drake, is a powerful magician. He doesn't want to let her go, so he kidnaps Cherry and locks her on top of a high tower, with only 1 window and no doors at all. Also, Drake sets a magic fire around the tower for extra protection and leaves. Cherry realizes that she has little time to escape. She looks around and sees 3 magic potions. The bottles are labeled. One would give her incredible physical strength. The other one would turn Cherry into a vampire. And the third one would let her summon any animal. Which potion should she use? Even if Cherry destroys the tower, she can do nothing with the magic fire. And no animal can help her escape. But if she becomes a vampire, she'll be able to turn into a bat and fly away. Cherry escapes and finds herself in an enchanted forest. Can you find 4 magical creatures here? Take a look at this cave. There's a troll hiding inside. Also, there are 2 pixies sitting on the flowers. And this tree is a wood goblin. Cherry goes ahead and finds a road sign. There are 3 routes leading to the nearest village. An immortal fire-breathing dragon is guarding the first path. The second route lies through the lands of a witch. She hates men and turns every guy who dares to enter her land into a stone statue. And the third path is a habitat for leopards. Can you help Cherry choose the best route? The second option sounds good. Cherry is a woman, so the witch has no reason to turn her into a statue, because she only hates men. Cherry asks the witch to help her find the village. The witch offers a deal.
If you crack my pattern riddle, I'll tell you, but if not, you'll be my servant forever.
Cherry had nothing to do but agree.
You can have pepper, but not salt. You can have beef, but not chicken. Carrots, broccoli, and cabbage, but no potato in any form. Oh, and you have to eat with a spoon.
Can you help Cherry crack the pattern? she's only allowed items containing 2 of the same letters in a row. The witch helps Cherry find a road. 3 drivers stop and offer a ride to the village. Can you help Cherry choose the safest option? There's a zombie hiding in the back of the first car, and there are no passenger seats in the third car. Although the second car's windshield is cracked, it's still the best choice. Finally, Cherry finds the village. This place is magical. Many amazing creatures live here. Suddenly, a half hippo approaches Cherry and yells,
Please help me. One of these guys had stolen my clothes.
Can you guess who? Take a look at the dog's badge. It says hippo. So, it was the dog who stole his shirt. Cherry meets the local farmer, Timothy. He used to keep chickens in another country. Things were going well and he made good money. But then he bought a big farm in this village and moved there. Soon, Timothy got to know that floods are very frequent in this area. But he didn't get upset and decided to breed ducks instead of chickens. Why? Ducks can swim, so floods aren't so dangerous for them. Timothy invites Cherry over for dinner at home. But unfortunately, Cherry's ex-boyfriend Drake had already found them. He captures Timothy and Cherry at the farmer's house. Suddenly, the phone rings. Drake allows Timothy to take the phone, but he can't reveal the situation. Otherwise, Drake will use his magic wand to turn them into snakes. So Timothy replies,
Hey, Mom, how can I help you? I'm home and about to go to bed. If it's not an emergency, can I call you later? I'm really sleepy.
30 minutes later, the police arrive, confiscate the magic wand, and rescue the guys. How did Timothy ask for help? He held the mute button saying everything except the words help, home, emergency, and call. The detective gives Drake a chance to get freedom. He can pass through one of these 3 doors. Jungles full of dangerous animals are hiding behind the first door. Behind the second door, there's a tank with ice water that is impossible to stand in for even a minute. And there's a giant fire-breathing dino behind the third door. Which door is more or less safe? Drake should pick the third door. Dinos don't breathe fire, and they went extinct millions of years ago. Drake returns to his castle and discovers that someone had broken all the bottles with his precious potions in his lab. Drake gets furious and interrogates his 3 goblin servants. Willie says,
I was cleaning the castle all day long. I didn't even enter your lab today.
Tilly says,
I was picking roses in the garden in the morning. Then I entered your lab to bring rose petals for your potions. Everything was fine.
And Billy says,
I was cooking dinner in the kitchen and then I went to the bathroom to take a quick shower.
Who's lying? Tilly. He didn't pick the roses. They're still in the garden. Meanwhile, Timothy drives Cherry home. They stop to buy something on the way. Can you guess what exactly by just looking at this image? Kiwi. Then Timothy takes 2 pictures of Cherry. Can you find 10 differences between them? Here they are. Someone robbed Cherry's house when she was on a picnic on the 4th of July. The detective finds 4 suspects and questions them about what they were doing that day. Bobby, the fireman, says, "I was on duty the day before. I was very tired, so I went sleeping all day long." Nick is a student. He says, "I was celebrating Independence Day with my family." Rick, the manager, says,
It was a holiday and I was playing games with my roommates. Then we watched TV all night.
and Kyle, the postman, says, "I was at the post office all day. All my colleagues saw me." The detective identifies the robber immediately. What about you? It was Kyle. He couldn't work at a post office on the 4th of July. It's a public holiday. Cherry receives her first salary and hides the cash in her closet. Cherry's 3 roommates are not at home at this time, so she just leaves the money and goes to the gym right away. After a while, Cherry returns home and discovers that her money had been stolen from the closet. She starts looking all over the room, but finds no clues. Suddenly, her 3 roommates enter the room. Cherry asks each of them, "Has anyone stolen my money?" Bella replies, "I was in college all day. I just got home from lunch and I didn't enter this room." Anna says, "I came home for lunch as well, but after Bella. I opened the closet door to look for some documents, but there was no money inside." And Megan says, "I had no idea that you were hiding cash in the closet. I just returned from work. You should talk to the security guard." Who's the thief? Bella must have concluded that if Cherry is searching this room, money should have been stolen only from here, so she doesn't sound suspicious. But Anna said that she had searched the closet and found no money. Meanwhile, Cherry didn't mention the closet in the first place. Therefore, Anna is the thief. Just look at this! A car has crashed into a restaurant window, smashing it. Detective Harris has come to investigate the case. There are 2 suspects, Julie and Douglas. But each of them claims that the other person did it. Can you help the detective figure out who is lying? It's Julie. The tire tracks on the ground belong to her car. Adam was driving home late at night when he noticed he was about to run out of gas. He stopped at a gas station to fill his tank and buy some snacks. Inside, there was a cashier and another customer dressed in black. When Adam came up to the employee to pay, she told him $5.05. Adam paid, went outside, and called the police to report an emergency. Why did he do it? The cash register showed $18.35, but the cashier said $5.05, which looks like SOS. Detective Harris was walking along the street when he heard some noise. He decided to check out what had happened. It turned out that some man had grabbed an elderly lady's bag and run away. The detective ran in the direction the witnesses showed him. After he turned the corner, he saw 3 doors. He knocked on the first one. The apartment owner, Patrick, opened the door. The man told the detective he'd just returned from a long run. Another man, Jerry, opened the second door. He said he'd been playing basketball behind his house. The third apartment belonged to Raymond, a musician. He had just finished composing a new piece of music. After talking to all these people, Detective Harris understood who the criminal was. Have you figured it out? The thief is Jerry. He claimed he'd been playing basketball, but he was holding a football while talking to the detective. Sarah and her sister Mary were doing some shopping. When they were leaving a grocery store, Sarah pointed at some young man and exclaimed, "Look, my nephew is over there!" Her sister replied, "Oh right, but it's not my nephew." How is it possible? The young man is Mary's son. Gemma returned from Asia and brought a precious porcelain figurine. She organized a party and invited all her friends to tell them about her journey. They had a great time, but after her friends left, the woman realized the figurine had disappeared. She called the police and showed them the photos she had taken at the party. One of the officers immediately realized who had stolen the figurine. Did you understand it too? It was this girl. She hid the figurine under her hat. At 9 a.m., Ethan got a call from his friend, an owner of a large business. The man said that a very important document had disappeared from his office. It had been on his desk the evening before, but now it was nowhere to be found. Ethan immediately came there to question his friend's employees. Soon, he had 3 suspects. Walter said he'd spent the previous evening at the movies. Joan had dinner with her friends, and Zachary visited an art gallery. It didn't take Ethan long to understand who was lying. Do you know it too? It was Walter. His ticket isn't torn. It means he didn't enter the movie theater. Now, look at these hands and try to figure out which person is married. If you look at the first hand attentively, you'll realize it doesn't belong to a grown-up person. On the second hand, there is a mark left by a ring, but there's no ring itself. It must mean that the person is no longer married. On the third hand, there's no ring either, but it's the right hand, and we wear wedding rings on the left hand. So out of these 3, this person is most likely to be married. Okay, the next challenge is for you. Look at these 3 men. They're at the airport. Which of these guys is married? All of these men are holding their passports and tickets in their hands. None of them is wearing a wedding ring. But pay attention to the man sitting on the bench. On his ticket, it's written, "Family discount." So, he must be the one who's married. Now look at this picture attentively. Does anything strike you as strange? It's winter, but butterflies are flying around the snowman. Now, try to figure out what's wrong with this image. It's the snowman again. Instead of a carrot, his nose is made of broccoli. And the last image for you to analyze. Why does the guy on the right need ski poles if he's going to snowboard? Marcus woke up in a dark basement with just one candle burning on the table. He saw 3 doors in one of the walls and 3 keys lying on the table. How many attempts will the guy need to figure out the key for each door? He'll need 6 attempts at the most. 3 of them for the first key, 2 attempts for the second key and 2 remaining doors, and just 1 attempt for the last key. But if Marcus is extremely lucky, he might need just 3 attempts. Alicia's mom asked the girl to do some grocery shopping. She gave her a shopping list and her bank card. But the woman knew her daughter was very absent-minded. That's why she gave Alicia a small note in case she forgot the card's PIN number. When the girl was at the register, she realized she had indeed forgotten the PIN. Alicia pulled the note out of her pocket and immediately remembered the code. Can you figure out what it was if the note had a fly, a cat, a person, and a snake drawn on it? The pin was 6420. Alicia just had to count the number of legs of each creature. A fancy restaurant in Los Angeles was offering a promotional deal. A married couple could eat at the restaurant for half price on their anniversary. To prevent scams, the couple would need proof of their wedding date. On a Thursday evening, a couple entered the restaurant and claimed it was their anniversary, but they didn't have any proof. The restaurant manager was called to speak with the couple. When the manager asked to hear about their wedding day, the wife said,
"Oh, it was a wonderful Sunday afternoon. Birds were chirping and flowers were in full bloom."
After nearly 10 minutes of ranting, she told the manager that today was their 28th wedding anniversary.
How lovely, the manager said. However, you do not qualify for the discount. Today is not your anniversary. You are a liar.
How did the manager know it wasn't their anniversary? The calendar repeats itself every 28 years. So if they were married on a Sunday 28 years ago, the day they came to the restaurant would also have to be a Sunday. But since it was a Thursday, the manager knew they were lying. John called the police to report that his friend Mark had disappeared. He explained that 2 weeks earlier, he had offered Mark to live in his beach house in Miami. He wanted his friend to enjoy some summer heat, but when John returned from a half-month-long business trip to Chile, he found out that Mark was missing. The police listened to John's story and understood the man was lying. How did they figure it out? If it was summer in Miami, it was winter in Chile. And still, John came back suntanned. It means he hadn't been to Chile. Maya was in the gym doing the workout her personal trainer had prepared for her. It was tougher and longer than her usual ones. Exhausted, Maya returned to the changing room only to find her expensive bag gone.
Oh no!
She immediately called the police. They had 3 suspects. Maya's trainer said that he had been preparing a new program for his clients. Emma, another gym goer, said she had been running on a treadmill for 2 hours. The cleaner said he had been washing the swimming pool. Who took Maya's bag? It was her trainer. He knew Maya was going to have a long workout and wouldn't return to the changing room anytime soon. The owner of the restaurant, Vegan Paradise, called the police. "Someone has attacked our chef. He was taken to a hospital several minutes ago. My rivals must have sent someone to ruin my business." When police officers came to the restaurant, they found out that 3 people had been in the staff area during the accident. The first cook was cutting onions when the chef was hurt. He told the police that tears had blurred his vision and he hadn't seen anything. The second cook was peeling shrimps when the accident happened. He said that he had been listening to music through his earphones, and he hadn't heard anything. The third person, a waitress, claimed she had been serving lemonade outside. Who's lying? The second cook attacked the chef. There can't be shrimps in a vegan restaurant. Eric was having lunch in a cafe. At one point, he went to the bathroom and left his smartphone on the table. When he came back, the phone was missing. Eric saw a man leaving the place and ran after him. Eric stopped him when the man was about to sit in a car and asked him to return the gadget, but the man claimed to know nothing about the phone. He said that he had just given his friends a lift to work, and he pointed at 2 men entering an office building. After hearing this, Eric immediately called the police. Why? The man lied. His car is a sports convertible with just 2 seats. It can't fit 3 men. The police got a call from the house of a wealthy man who didn't come back after going for a jog. When several officers arrived, they questioned the maid, the millionaire's wife, and his driver. The maid said, When Mr. Jones went for a jog, he asked me to prepare his breakfast, and I immediately got down to work. But it's been 3 hours, and he hasn't returned yet. The wife was worried too. I saw him in the morning, but he was in a hurry. We just greeted each other and I went to work. The driver told the police he'd been waiting for his boss in the car, looking through his social media. Who knows something about the millionaire's disappearance? The maid's lying. If she had cut the apples for breakfast 3 hours ago, they would have turned brown by now. Now, look at poor Dwight. Someone has pulled a paint bucket prank on him. Look at his colleagues and try to figure out who it was. It was definitely Jim. Look at his pants. There are paint stains there. Now, look at these girls. Who's going to be the first to escape? It's going to be the first girl. She's got long, beautiful nails. She's bound to have a file to look after them. It can help her cut the rope. One of these people on the train is hiding some treasure. Who can it be? It's this woman. She pretends to be pregnant, but her belly is suspiciously square. Look at these two girls. Who will be the first to escape? The one on the right. She hasn't touched her food because she uses her spoon to dig a tunnel. The girl on the right has managed to escape, but the tunnel splits into two smaller ones. One is swarming with snakes, and in the other, a fire is raging. What should she do? She should dig another tunnel above these two. She's got her spoon after all. David was a famous antique dealer in his town, but there were loads of people who envied him. The man had a beautiful young daughter called Liza. One evening, when the antiquarian was busy in his workshop, his phone rang. A man told him that they had David's daughter. If he wanted to see her again, he had to give his jewelry collection to the man waiting at the doors. David requested to talk to his daughter. He asked her just one question. "I have 2 hands, but I can't scratch myself. What am I?" When David heard no answer, he said, "It's not my daughter," and hung up. What's the answer to this riddle? Liza would know that her father was talking about a clock. It took 9 years to build the world's tallest skyscraper. Every next year, the builders managed to double its height. How many years did it take the skyscraper to reach half of its maximum height? Eight years. If the constructors doubled the building's height every year, the skyscraper was half of its final height a year before it was completed. Divide 30 by 1/2 and add 10. What will you get? The correct answer is 70. Most people divide 30 by 2, add 10, and get 25. But when you divide a number by a fraction, you should actually multiply it by the denominator, which is the number below the line. This way, 30 times 2 plus 10 equals 70. You find yourself in the middle of a forest with 3 paths in front of you. The first one is covered with burning hot coals. The second path is so cold that it feels like Antarctica right under your feet. And the third path is covered with sharp nails. Which path should you choose? The second path. All that ice is bound to be gone soon. It's too close to the hot coals. The police were looking for Kyle for 2 days. The guy went hiking and never came back. Finally, he was found. Someone had hit him on the head and left him lying in the bushes. Kyle only managed to say, "Friend," and lost consciousness. The police officers had 3 suspects, all of them Kyle's friends. Zachary said he'd spent these last days at work getting ready for a conference. Jeremy told the detectives he sprained his ankle and had been in bed for 4 days. And Billy explained he'd been to New York for business. He even showed the police officers his boarding pass. Who's responsible for the accident with Kyle? Billy showed the police just 1 boarding pass. Then how did he get back from New York? His story sounds fishy. Jordan was very late for a job interview, but when he drove up to the office building, he found out there were no free parking spaces. He decided to leave his car a bit further from the entrance. Oh no, even though there were several other vehicles in that area, parking was prohibited there. Luckily, Jordan came up with an idea and didn't get fined. What did he do? He took a parking ticket from another car and put it on his windshield. It looked as if he'd already been fined. Hey, I didn't say it was an honest solution. That day, famous chef Logan was going to have some very important guests in his restaurant. He was anxious because his future depended on how they would appreciate his food. Everything had to be perfect. There was only 1 hour left before the guests were supposed to arrive. And that's when Logan discovered someone had left ugly red handprints on his sparkling white jacket. He examined the stains. It was ketchup. Logan knew that some of the cooks didn't like him. Looked at them and tried to help the chef figure out who's guilty. There's a pair of gloves stained with something red in the trash can. The only person who isn't wearing any gloves is the cook on the left. He was the one to spoil Logan's uniform. Linda was in a cafe with her boyfriend, and their date wasn't going very well. At one point, they both got angry and started to argue. Suddenly, their waiter came up to the table and handed something to Linda. It was a note with a strangely written word. Lowercase t, uppercase r, lowercase o, uppercase u, lowercase b, lowercase l, lowercase e. Trouble? Linda was confused. What could it mean? Can you figure it out? It's a rebus puzzle. The waiter got worried and asked Linda, "Are you in trouble?"